rich, poor, smart, dumb, funny, shy, Mexican, Muslim. Hi, my name is Kimberly Aguirre, and I believe we should look beneath the labels we give people to see the real, whole, complicated person beneath. Why do we act as if one trait of a person defines them? It's human nature to rely on external appearances, stereotypes, and superficial behavior to categorize people. For example, if a person is poor, we might think they must also be unhappy. If they don't do well in school, they must be dumb. Or worst of all, if they are a Muslim, they are probably a terrorist. These generalizations are not true. It's even happened to me. Because I have a Spanish last name, people assume that I must be fluent in Spanish. And although I am trying, I am not quite there yet. It's wrong, but it's human nature. This tendency to label and generalize makes it hard to see the person beneath that one big word we use to describe them, the label. Last summer, my perspective of my world broadened when I volunteered at Children's Fund, an organization that provides services to low-income families, such as donating new backpacks and school materials to students who can't afford them. Learning about the work of Children's Fund made me realize how lucky I am to have what I need. Because my perspective is one of relative comfort, it was hard for me to picture the possibility that a student might not have something as simple and necessary as a backpack. Volunteering for Children's Fund further opened my eyes to just how much need there is right here in our community of San Mateo, and I was happy to be able to help. But I saw that need as a problem for people very different than me. I could understand their problems rationally, but because I had what I needed, these children seemed very different from me. I thought that they wouldn't enjoy the same things I did because they came with a label, poor. The labels and stereotypes I had in my mind created a sort of mental barrier between me and the kids with no backpacks. I spent a lot of time volunteering at this organization, but I never really got a chance to meet the kids in need. They seemed so different from me that they may as well have been living on Mars. Then, one day, all the pieces of the puzzle came together in my mind. Along with Children's Fund, I volunteered as a teacher's aide in the preschool class at Peninsula Family Services, just across the street from Charles' house. Parents who couldn't afford daycare sent their kids here while they went to work. I grew really close to many of these young kids. We had secret handshakes. I knew all of their favorite books and games and what skills they were strongest at when it came time for learning. A few of the Spanish-speaking kids even taught me some more Spanish. By the end of the summer, these kids had truly become my friends. So much so that I was invited to assist at their graduation ceremony. As they were promoted to kindergarten, they were called up one by one and handed a diploma, along with a new backpack. In that moment, I had an enormous epiphany, and I could see the children clearly. My little friends were the very same kids that needed backpacks, the ones that had seemed so different from me in my imagination. While working busily at the preschool, I forgot all about labels and started just thinking of them as regular kids, the wonderful people they are. I knew them as individuals and as friends, not as labels that would define them. A label people place on me is that I am shy, which sometimes leads people to believe I lack opinions. If people got to know me better, they would understand that I am someone who likes to think before I speak. They will also learn that I have many opinions and strong beliefs that I am very passionate about. People thinking these things about me without knowing me upsets me. It makes me frustrated to be dismissed in this way. I know that I'm not the only person that feels this way. In his farewell address this week, I was happy to hear President Obama discuss the importance of looking behind the labels we give people. He said, "If our democracy is to work the way it should in this increasingly diverse nation, then each one of us needs to try to heed the advice of a great character in American fiction, Atticus Finch, who said, 'You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it.'" President Obama went on to say, "We all have to try harder. We all have to start with the premise that each of our fellow citizens loves his country just as much as we do, that they value hard work and family just like we do, that their children are just as curious and hopeful and worthy of our love as our own." In the passage read by Caroline, there is a rich man and Lazarus, a poor man who waits outside of the rich man's gate for scraps to eat. When they both die, Lazarus goes to heaven and the rich man goes to hell. The rich man asks God to send Lazarus from heaven to bring him water. After they die, the rich man still only sees Lazarus as a label, poor. He doesn't even think for a moment about Lazarus being a human being, not to mention being the man who lived a life worthy of God's reward. Lazarus is a whole person with depth, but as the rich man had never taken the opportunity to talk to him, he never truly saw him, or learned the lessons Lazarus might have taught him. We are naturally quick to label and categorize people as unimportant or important, potential friends or irrelevant. These labels and judgments are based on superficial things, and they serve to keep us apart, safe in groups of people just like us. So much so that we forget we're all human, complex people with our own unique feelings, beliefs, skills, and secret handshakes. But when we get to know someone who seems different from us, we realize how much we actually have in common. A kid without a backpack is not a miserable, tragic person, just like I am not a perpetually happy person just because I have school supplies. All rich people are not happy and perfect, just as all poor people are not miserable. When we limit ourselves to a label or stereotype, we cheat ourselves from getting to know the full person, and might even treat them unfairly because of our narrow-minded judgments. I don't want to be a label, and I don't want to live in a world of labels. I want to live in a world full of real, whole human beings that can be many things at once, just like I am, and just like my kindergarten friends with their new backpacks are. I can't think of anything more important for a peaceful, happy world than seeing beneath labels to the humanity of each and every person. Thank you.